All right, so we are now at part 3 of this crochet video tutorial for our cat hat. In the first 2 parts, we made the basic hat. Okay. So at this point, you should have the basic hat, which consists of this and your 2 ear flaps. Okay. Now I know in the second video we end up with 1 ear flap and a bit of the second one. Okay, so you should have 2 ear flaps, and the pattern or instructions are the same for both. Only one little bit of difference between the two. Okay, we also need the same yarn that we used for the basic hat and a bit of yarn that you want to use, the color that you want to use as a highlight. So in this case, for me, it's this bright pink yarn. Okay. The size of this yarn is DK or double knit. I'd forgotten what the US terminology for this, but because double knit is approximately half the thickness of chunky, I'm going to be using 2 strands of a double knit, and I'll show you later what I mean by 2 strands. So now we're going to make the cat's ears. So what you're going to do is, of course, you need 2 ears. I'm going to start with, okay, just to remind you that this is chunky wool and I'm using 5mm crochet hook, or that would be H, size H crochet hook. So we are going to make 3 chains. So 1, 2, 3, and then on this hook in this particular chain, third chain, we're going to make 7 half double crochet stitches. So here's how to do half double crochet stitch. Yarn over, insert your hook, so that will be the third chain from hook, or the first chain. Yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops on your hook. So that's your first half double crochet stitch. Let's do it again. Yarn over, insert your hook in the same space, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops. That's your second half double crochet stitch. Now do this a third time, and then after that I'll make the 4 additional half double crochet stitch without instruction. So yarn over, insert your hook in that space, yarn over, pull through. So now you end up with 3 loops on your crochet hook, yarn over, and then pull through all 3 loops on your hook. So we're going to make a total of 7 half double crochet stitches. 5, 6, and 7. Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then we're going to turn our work. Okay. And then we're going to chain 1. And then we're going to work 2 single crochet stitches in the first stitch. And then we're going to work 1 single crochet stitch in the second stitch. And then we're going to work 2 single crochet stitches on the third stitch. And then we're going to work 2 double crochet stitches on the middle stitch. So here's our first double crochet stitch and our second crochet stitch. So it's like an increase. It is the increase in double crochet stitch in the middle stitch of the first row. And then we're going to work two single crochet stitch on the fourth stitch. Sorry, that would be the fifth. And on the sixth, we're going to work one single crochet stitch. And on the last, we're going to work two single crochet stitch to end our first cat's ears. And then we're going to finish that off by doing this. And then enough yarn so we can sew that ear onto our hat. Right. I'll make the second ear a different way. Okay, so that's one way to do it. Another way is to make sort of magic circle. Okay, and then chain two. And then I'm going to work 7 half double crochet stitch into the magic circle. That's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So that's working. I'm working with a magic circle, cinching that magic circle closed. And I think I prefer the second way because I have a closed circle here. That one's pretty open, but you know, you're probably not going to notice this one once we stitch that onto the main hat. Okay, and then we're going to turn our work. We're going to do a single chain, and then we're going to work 2 single crochet stitches in the first, 1 single crochet stitch on the second, 2 single crochet stitch on the third, 2 double crochet stitches on the fourth, 2 single crochet stitch on the next one, 1 single crochet stitch on the second to the last, and 2 double crochet stitch on the last stitch. Okay, and then we're going to fasten that off and leave enough yarn to sew that onto our hat. So these are the ears. Okay, so apart from our materials we just mentioned, of course, I forgot to say we're going to need a yarn needle, not just any ordinary needle that you use for your cross stitching. Okay, this is a particular needle that you actually use with a piece of yarn which is substantially thicker than your ordinary thread. Okay, so I'm going to stitch those 2 ears on. So you have your hat here. I'm going to stitch that on right there. Okay, so take that. Don't have to be exact, but they should be fairly the same equidistant position from the crown. Okay, so what I did was, okay, so we have that hat, right? And then sort of like even that out so that you're looking at the front of the hat. Okay, so that should be even. Flatten that out. Estimate where the ear should go. It's about there. So it's about like 1, 2, 3, third row, below the third row of your crown of the hat, and then stitch it on. I am not the best cross stitcher in the world, so, or hand sewer in the world. That skill is not really my forte, but see, I can do a bit of that. I'm going to hide the yarn later. I can show you how to do that. Might be on this video, it could be in the next video. We'll have to see, but I will show you how to finish any loose bit of yarn, so you would have a neater work as a result. Okay, so that's simple as that, and then you can sort of like hide your loose bit of yarn by weaving through like so. Okay, taking care of that. That's it. Fix that ear. So I hid a bit of yarn through this part of the ear, and I'm going to sort of tug that a little bit, taking care I'm not actually snipping anything important, but just this loose bit. That's it. See, I was able to hide that part. And then we're going to do the same thing for the other ear. So again, that's below the third row, so that should be the same for the other ear, so you don't end up with a wonky cat hat. Right, so somewhere here, stitch that on, simple as. The kind of yarn I'm using right now is 100% wool. It is a specific kind of yarn called roving. So, which only means that it isn't a spun, less amount of processing, less number of weaving, like spinning, I think, not weaving, spinning, less number of spinning. So it's a little bit on the delicate side. That's why I'm being very, very careful with this. It just means that I have to be careful, or else it just, when it's not, if it's not woven into anything, it's easy to tear. That's why I'm being very careful with this. But it is quite nice. Once it's woven into this or crocheted into this, then it becomes as robust as any other wool. So there you go. We've got these cat's ears. Now, there's a bit of yarn in the back that we need to neaten up. A lazy way to do it is to simply get a crochet hook and try to find a way to put it on the other side. That's a lazy way of doing it. So it's in the inside part of the hat. You're thinking, nobody's going to look there. Okay, you could do just that, or you could take either your yarn hook and try to weave it as we did earlier, or you could take a smaller crochet hook and weave. So this is a smaller crochet hook, and sort of like weave that loose yarn through a number of stitches. Just tuck it in there. Tuck, not stuck. Tuck it in there like that. Yep. Okay. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to put the trimming, or the edging. We're going to decorate our hat by putting the edging of the hat. So we have this nice pink, bright pink yarn, and I'm going to be double layering this, or we're going to use two threads of this. One, trying to find the other end, and two. So you gather that like that. So we're simply going to stitch the edge of this hat. It doesn't really matter where you start, but I have a preference of starting it at the back. So you insert your hook on any stitch, and then you're going to join your yarn like this, loop, and then work your first single crochet stitch. Now with this one, I'm going to put it right there. Okay, I'm going to try to keep it there. And then I'm going to work a single crochet stitch around that. And then you're going to work a single crochet stitch all throughout. Okay. The only time you're going to divert from this particular pattern is when you get to a pointy bit of the hat, which is right here. You're going to work at least 2 single crochet stitches or 3 single crochet stitches. I prefer working 3 single crochet stitches because it gives it a little bit more, it's a bit more relaxed. Okay. Right. Now, there's a reason why we're using 2 threads of yarn, apart from the obvious, oh, because it's a smaller, or it's a thinner size of yarn. Apparently, it's easier to find colors for this thickness because it's easier for yarn manufacturers or yarn spinners to color thinner yarns. So you have more color availability for DK or for 4-ply. It's easier to handle than using chunky wool. So if you've been shopping around for wool, you'd see that there's more color availability for thinner yarns. All right, so simple, just single crochet all throughout. If you want to use another color, you could. Another popular color is blue. If you would like the specifics of any of the materials I'm using, you can just ask me. Especially this nice pink color. I have forgotten the name of this particular color, but I will find that out for you if you're interested. I suspect the color has something to do with berries. Berry or something like that. And it is the same company that makes this chunky wool. It is by West Yorkshire Spinners, which is not too far from where I live. Their factory is not too far from me. It's about an hour's drive away, I think. So this is already the second ear flap that I am edging. That means I am very close to the end of decorating this edge. We're trimming this hat. And we have 10 more minutes to our clock. Right. So we're going to fasten off. So there's our edging. And I'm going to show you again how to neaten that, or how to weave in the ends, as they would say. So I would normally weave in at the inside part of the hat. So I'm just going to look for some place to weave it through, which is around here. Take that loose part, hook that through. And you can keep doing it. I'm happy with that. Trim that bit, don't over cut anything, or else you're going to end up with lots of loose ends sticking out. So we have our ears, cat's ears, and we got our trimming. And I did say that we are going to do the face of the cat at another video. So I'm going to show you something else. I'm going to show you how to attach the braided trimming that I normally put for my hats. Just take a look if I find. Okay, here we go. So here's a finished hat, and we have this braids that I normally put right at the bottom of the ear flap. So I would take my yarn, and you can't really see it, but I normally go 1 arm length. You can't really see it. So this is 1 arm length. Yeah. This is 1 arm length right here. Okay. And then I'm going to count 1, fold it up, 2, 3, 3 layers, 4, and 5. Okay. You can do more if you want, but I'm happy with that. So this is 5 arm lengths, but that's 2 layers of the DK yarn, yeah? This is 5 arm lengths, so that's 10 threads. Okay, 10 threads of DK arm lengths, my arm, okay? And my arm is average-ish. Okay. And then I'm going to insert my hook like so, like this. So that's an ear flap right there. And then going back to this yarn here, I'm going to fold it. Okay, that's the middle part, that's the midpoint. And then I'm going to loop it around like so. Put it through. Okay. It's not the neatest thing, but it'll do for the demonstration. And then I'm going to cut, I'm sorry for the shaking. I'm going to cut these loops here at the bottom edge. And then you can start braiding. Okay, so divide that by 3, more or less. It'll be like, I should have like 5 to 6 in each section. Okay, more or less. And then just simply braid it. I prefer a tighter braid, Some people prefer a looser braid. So I'm going to use my computer to pull it down. It's not that you can see it, but okay, so I'm sure there are better tutorials on how to braid things, but this is the idea, right? Okay. So let me just finish the braided, the main braid, and then I'll show you how I tie it off. I apologize for the amateurish camera work. So we've got our end of the braid right there. And just take two sections and just knot it, simple knot. Okay. And then normally if I do sell this, I would do another knot using all 3 strands. I don't want my customer to be sending it back to me and telling me that everything's gone loose. So there you go. There's the braid. So you do exactly the same thing for the other ear flap right there. So that will be 2 strands of DK, or that would be 1 strand of a chunky wool, and then I would do about 5 to 6 arm lengths, and then you divide that by 2. When I say divide, I mean you fold it into 2, and then you can make your braids. Yeah. So for our part 4, and hopefully the last part of our crochet tutorial for our cat hat, we're going to make the face of our cat, which is like this. Okay, and I'm going to be using similar colors as this, apart from, of course, the white, because white on white is simply, you can't really see it. So I'm probably just going to use black eyes without the white part around it, and probably use black whiskers, and then pink nose and pink mouth. So I'll see you in a bit.